I'm also curious to hear from the panel what they might suggest in terms of regions or countries that currently have the infrastructure or don't have the infrastructure right now, to maybe some of the best places to go and not to go right now.
We're every place, all but the others.
I was going to address the previous question as well. I think one of the which countries you go into and how you find them too, a lot really depends on your marketing method. So if you're primarily an online retailer and your products are primarily sold online, it's really easy. There's a lot of tools available to look at your website and see where your international traffic is coming from. So you can get statistics very quick by just looking at your website and saying, okay, 10% of my traffic is coming from the UK. Well, that immediately tells you that you've got a lot of interest in the UK or China or Japan or wherever that traffic is coming from. Once you have that and you arm yourself with that data, it's very simple then to take your website and make some landing pages tailored to those languages, whether it be Chinese, Japanese, Korean, wherever your traffic is coming from. And you don't have to translate your whole website at once if you don't want to. Just make a couple of landing pages where anybody who comes from China, they're automatically sent to this landing page in Chinese or in Japanese or in Korean or in French or in German, whatever it is. Maybe just one page that explains what your country is. And you'll be amazed at the contacts that you start getting when somebody from an international location then comes into your website and they're greeted in their language. Then they immediately know that, yeah, this company is willing to do business with this country, and you'll just see your leads and your market in those countries grow. Then your second question there is going back to the international markets that we're seeing a lot of growth in. Obviously, Korea, China right now, there's just a burgeoning middle class, and so it's good in some ways and bad for China in other ways, because they're actually seeing a lot of their manufacturing moving off from China now, because it's not the low-cost manufacturer that it once was. It still is, but compared to places like Vietnam, so we're seeing a lot of our companies where we used to import for them from China, now they're moving their factories off to Vietnam, just because the standard of living is coming up in China, and as that happens, the price goes up. But you've got a lot of people there with a lot of dispensable income. And then Indonesia is a good one. Australia is a huge one that's we're seeing a lot of growth in. And your traditional markets, Canada, the UK, they're always good. They're easy to get into, less cultural and stuff, so they're great places as well.
Yeah, and if I may, I'll just jump in and kind of throw out the caveat that the BRIC countries of Brazil, India, China, Russia are experiencing tremendous growth right now from a national gross national product scale, but it really depends on your product and what segment of the market you're looking at, and also how long you've been exporting, right? So if you're what we call a new to export company, you might not want to cut your teeth on an ostensibly strong market in China. You might want to learn in Canada or one of these other markets where there is an equally good market out the gate for you, and then either start a parallel process or lead with one of these other markets and learn lessons that way. Back to the original question on the timing, how to figure out where to go, when to do it. There's kind of the scientific approach and the unscientific approach. The latter would be if you see your global competitors eating away your market share here in the U.S., might be a good time to start going into their markets and trying to reclaim some of the market share that they've taken and that they enjoy in their home markets. But scientifically, we can help you segment the market, looking at trade trends by product code, going into certain markets, going back 5 years, doing some trends analysis, and you can slice it that way, which is good when you have to go to your board or your senior management and make a case for investing marketing dollars in particular markets. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was just the sales cycle. Internationally, it's a bit longer than it is here domestically. There are a lot of other factors that go into play. The return on that investment can be exponential, but just to make sure that senior management has the patience and the forbearance to stick with it when the sales don't quite come right away after the first, second, third international trip, to to know that they will come with follow through and diligence.
Let me just, not to beat a dead horse, but as I hear this being discussed, I have two examples of clients that I've worked on in my career. And the first one, I think, illustrates when you're looking at a market to go into, it's not always the obvious market that people would think you should go to. In this particular company called JLG Industries, you might have heard of them. They make these big construction booms that you see out at job sites. There might be a couple down here. When they went into Europe, we were the team that was retained when I was at Ernst & Young to go help them identify a location in Europe to set up their first manufacturing plant. And when you looked at their situation, you would have thought they would want to put that where they had a distributor. They had a great distributor in Spain, they had another good distributor in the Netherlands. And that seemed to be the obvious choice. But as we started to look at the situation and kind of looked at what they needed, we realized that in order for them to compete in Europe, they had to have a very high-quality product. And in order to have a high-quality product, you needed to have a high-quality workforce. And so they elected to move into a small city in Belgium. And the reason they chose Belgium in this particular location is because Mercedes-Benz had 3 plants right around that particular area, and they knew they could draw from that workforce. So when you're thinking about what market to go into, China, Southeast Asia, I could go down the list like everybody and tell you these are great markets, but you've got to think about your business. And if you need to look for employees or customers or distributors, where are they located? And it might not be the obvious places that everybody thinks you should be going to. So do that due diligence and think about where you can draw upon those resources. A second thing I'd caution you, I have another client, Columbia Sportswear. Columbia entered Europe using a number of independent distributors. They've now decided they want to put retail stores in Europe. And so we're working with them right now trying to unravel those distribution relationships. Using a third-party distributor is always the easiest way, in most cases, Dave would probably agree, to get into a foreign country. However, the lawyers in the room will tell you in certain countries, Germany and others, when you get a distributor, an independent distributor, you've just signed those rights over to that individual, to that company. It is very difficult to unravel those distribution agreements. So if you need to take a long-term perspective on where your business is going. So as you try to get into a market, it might make sense in the short term to have an independent distributor, but if you have plans in the next 5 years or 10 years to move a facility or have your own distributors in that market, you need to think carefully about those legal arrangements you're entering into now, because they're very difficult to unravel after they've gone in and they've developed the customer base, they've developed the intellectual property, the brand, and all those things that are so important for you to be successful. So again, I'm probably sometimes too cautionary, Lou. I apologize for that, but these are the realities that you're going to have to deal with. If when you're enthusiastic to get in there, get into the country, but think long term. Don't think about the immediate. Geez, I can get some quick sales right now.